Hi, welcome back to In Sherry's Opinion. I'm Sherry. This video is going to be under fair use for educational purposes and my commentary. I have never looked into Tim Mullen or the Meteor. So I'm starting with his first video, and as a Native American woman myself, I am very offended at some of the things that he said. Now, you won't see the video, but you will hear it.
All sorts. Original. Not just...
Okay. He decides to give us a history lesson on Native Americans. Mr. Tim Mullins, are you Native American? Let's see what he has to say.
Settlers within the founding individuals that came in this area. Things didn't always go good with our Native American friends. A lot of them realized they needed to work with this new civilization that dwarfed theirs.
Why do we have to work with you? We were here first.
But you had some, naturally, some of those that felt like they shouldn't yield
Nope.
to this new society. You got to remember, they took some of these Indian chiefs kindly to Europe for a couple.
Ooh, they took us to Europe. Did they want to go? Or were they coerced into going?
Months. So they went from what we would call loincloths, and tomahawks and bows. And some were more advanced, of course. But basically, that was it. To seeing the civilizations of Europe. A billion, and that's after riding ships.
Ooh.
All this is new. So those leaders knew it's over for the enjoyment of just having the land, fighting each other for hunting ground, keeping your prides, having babies, which actually all that sounds much simpler and nice right now, but they saw where it was going. So, of course, they wanted to work with it, keep their people safe.
But were we given a choice? No. We weren't given a choice. We were pushed off into certain land, and then it was taken. And then we were pushed off of that land into something else, and it was taken. Wasn't it, Tim?
You can't stop those that just don't see it. So you had others like, it's always, too, seems like a lot of the troublemakers were the famous ones, but you had people like Dragging Canoe.
Wait. The famous ones were the troublemakers. That's how they got famous. Was standing up for their people. Not because they were troublemakers, but because they were standing up for what was right.
I'm not sure he really helped anybody.
I'm not sure you helped anybody.
So he was going to fight for it. If I could go back, I'd say, okay, DC, let's say you get it all. How are you going to function all these new advancements, everything that everybody's learned and seen in Europe? Not to mention what they've seen just arrive on the shore.
Our people didn't want all that. You forced that upon us.
So, anyway.
Do you honestly think that we wanted our children to be stolen and put into English schools and stripped of their culture, their language, their dress, to be put in white men's clothing, taught white man's language? No, not at all.
A little thought there.
Because the harassment after they took our people and tried to change them into white people that they were not, they were so harassed, even after given a white man's name, taken away from their families, their language, their culture. They tried to turn our children into white men.
It's always unfortunate. Change is hard. I can sure see why they wanted to keep it the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have that. It was quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Other than having to hack a few people who tried to get on your hunting
Oh,
ground.
well.
But I think
That
it's
stuff
great
happens
part of this
today
is
still.
owned by the Cherokees.
Hmm?
An amazing people.
Yes. Very
And now
much.
they're estimating that after DeSoto first arrived, long before the Pilgrims, this place was packed. This whole country was packed. And they're estimating up to 95%, possibly more, died after DeSoto because of sicknesses that came with him from Europe that spread.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have taken him to Europe.
And killed off the majority of all the Native Americans.
Mm-hmm. Was that a plan? Hmm?
So by the time the Pilgrims got here, it was just small groups, all just trying to make it.
And what did the Pilgrims learn from the Indians? How to hunt? They probably taught them a lot. I'm sure they did.
So over on Ben Hill, Beach Creek would have been, for where its location was, probably a very important trail heading toward the west. I'm sure the Indian trails through there. I'm sure the bison. We say buffalo, but it's actually bison in America. This place was packed with bison. Look at Bays Mountain. It's like the slumbering bison. Its head drinking out of the Holston River. But that whole area would have been that historically extremely important area.
It all was.
Down through there with its creeks and its hollers, you had the mountain one side, the mountain on the other, which from the Kingsport area looks just like a volcano, but it's actually a couple different peaks. But from a distance, it makes it look like they're right together. The opening of the top
Who
of the
is this guy?
volcano. But from that spot, Kingsport, if you look and you see that volcano, that is the exact location of the Wells's property. Almost exactly due north from those peaks straight down to their property. A very important one in the Bible.
Now he's going to do a Bible lesson.
Egypt, coming out, heading into Israel. You had Mount Sinai. Sinai. You can look it up.
Oh,
Wikipedia.
okay. Oh, and
That's how
Wikipedia.
Don loved the Bible. Don loves God, and he does very much. I'm outside, so I'm a little cold, so that was loves God, not loved. Loves God. One of his favorite things to do was talk about the Lord, talk about the Bible. Most people really never saw that, don't know it.
I thought he'd like to talk about, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. But I think he liked to talk about a lot of other things other than God. Unless he was in trouble, then he liked to talk about God. Right?
They pretty much just knew him from his evenings, and that was mostly whiskey talking.
You think?
That wasn't Dawn, that was whiskey. A man does not always tell the truth.
No, actually, they do. Mr. Meteor. Loose lips come from drinking. Ask anybody.
When whiskey talks, in Don's case,
Was all the time, right?
he would actually just start making up crazy stuff. His sense of
No,
humor would kick
it was true. It just sounded crazy.
So, we'll get on that some other time. The wind's probably blowing in the
really?
microphone and messing this up. And I don't even know if...
Mr. Meteor Man. Why would I need a meteor for my family? Maybe Candace isn't so dumb. She fired this guy. What an idiot. Well, that's Tim Mullen. Or Mullins. Whatever. Mr. Meteor. Mr. Meteor.